a bunch of different stuff. So we are looking at it, but it is not at a point right now in the biologist opinion that we need to go in and just start randomly spraying and killing all this stuff. If we go back 2 or 3 years ago, we were fighting blue-green algae because we had a significant lack of vegetation. There was no natural water filtration. There was none of that stuff. So it's a balancing act. We're certainly not turning a blind eye to it, but we're not at the point right now where we need to go out and start removing all of
Yeah,
this.
because Lake Hockey said, and they spent a lot of money because they waited too long.
Thank you.
Everybody good? All right. I'm working on it. I've called them. 2 questions. We go to
Could you
Whiskey's.
state your name and section, please?
Cindy Wilkes and Section 4. We go to Whiskey's usually on Wednesday nights, and it's more than just a hamburger night. It's a get-together with your friends. What we've noticed, and we've noticed before since we moved here, was the acoustics. Has there been any thought to thinking about how to rectify that so we're not in this loud environment? That's number 1.
Yes.
So, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yes, we looked at it before we turned it over. There are such things, I'm sure people are familiar with them. They're in a lot of different churches, but acoustic baffles that will help to mute some of the sounds and things of that nature. When it was taken over by Suzanne and Nancy, they had talked about some of those things as well, and then now you see they're like sunshade canopy type things up there, and the intent was, maybe that will help a little bit. Those were put up by the restaurant runners. We've looked at it. One was cleanliness for me. Do we put something up there that we can't get clean? Different things like that, but then there's cost associated with it. Sure. And that's, quite honestly, that's the biggest factor right now. Let's see how the folks do running it, and can we save some money on it? Because the last thing I want to come to you is say, we used to spend $200,000, now we're spending this, but now we're going to start buying all this stuff for it, and it's a fine line like everything.
Yeah, that's great. I just was hoping somebody's looking at that and the carpet. So
yes, ma'am.
It's pretty bad. The other question is, and this just happened today, so I took a picture of it, and I'm sure we're not the only house that got singled out to get an orange circle with something in our driveway. And it looks like that. Are they marking something?
Looks to me, is that I can't see the picture. Is it a survey?
Right.
There are surveyors that have been on the east
Survey.
side of
Okay, because I'm on Holly Trail East. What are those surveys for then? Just curious.
Do you live close to the resort?
Oh, yeah.
Holiday Inn Resort?
Yep.
I
Probably
don't know for sure, but my guess would be that yes, it's them. We know that they're getting ready to close this. We know that they're getting ready to sell it. They're probably surveying their property.
Even on our driveway, because that's where it is.
They're pulling a monument from, they got a location you can find over
Oh,
the driveway.
so maybe that's the easement?
They're using
Okay, just wondered why we got this special treatment. So
I think they were going to sell part of your drive. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
they want to sell it and repave it for me? Go for it.
Hi, my name is Amelia John. I'm in Section 5. I wanted to understand more about this letter of intent. Are we given a letter of intent that we want to buy it if you're going to get rid of it? Or is it an all or nothing thing? Or is there no way we can buy what they're trying to sell? What's our situation with that?
So 2 different things, right?
Oh,
When we
okay.
talk Holiday Inn, the resort that they're selling, and they're going to close it down, the 8th of January or the 10th of January. I'm sorry, I'm escaping some of those.
All the things you were talking about earlier.
Right. They're going to do that with the intention of then, they're voting on it on the 8th and then closing it down on the 10th with 66%, 2/3 majority of their shareholders, and then they go through a formal termination of timeshare agreement, and then they're going to look to sell it. When they sell that, that is separate and distinct from anything associated with Holly Lake Ranch. We don't have vested interest in it, voting membership. We don't have any of those things. So that's separate and distinct. You mentioned something about buying it, and there is,
No way we could buy it.
well, to be honest with you, they haven't posted a price for it. They have talked about sending it out to either auction or brokerage for 30 days. By virtue of our bylaws, it requires that we come to you with all of the details, send it out, get a vote on it in accordance with 209, which takes a certain amount of time, and then get back and then vote to approve funds that we may or may not have, depending on the price. You know, it seems very unlikely to me that that is even in the realm of possible, to be quite honest, just by virtue of our organization.
So what you're saying is, yeah, it's an all or nothing. There's no, where we could buy a portion of it if we wanted it, like
Well-
the swimming pool or something. I don't know. I'm
Well,
just asking.
I don't know, but we're
Okay, so
talking
we
just
don't know
Holiday Inn. Now, we talk about everything from Holly Trail East, north, over on the east side, all of this side, all of Section 6, and all of Section 3. That is what we have been working on to get all of that property. And by that property, I mean like Greenbrier, I mean Point Park, I mean the golf course, this building, all the areas up here, the pickleball courts, the lakes, the air
So
park.
that's what our letter of intent is including?
That is the letter of
Okay,
intent.
that's what I wanted to try to understand.
Yes, ma'am. So that is
Okay.
the letter of intent, and that will outline the acquisition of that by
A vote.
goodness gracious, by Holly Lake Ranch for the consideration of $10.
Okay. I have one other question. When you're gonna put in the new fencing, you're getting rid of the split railing fencing,
Yes, ma'am.
what are you gonna do with it?
We would like to give it to you if you would like it.
I do want it. I thought that would look beautiful around my yard. So if you're gonna sell it or get rid of it, call me first.
If there is folks that want it, in all honesty, we'll pull it up and we'll just make a pile of it somewhere, and I'll send out an email and say, come and take it at your leisure.
Okay, great. One other question. You were talking about you were gonna put plants around, I didn't quite understand. Were you gonna hire someone to put plants around the fitness place and all this kind of stuff? Are those people gonna maintain those plants, or are we gonna maintain those plants?
Well, I'll trade you maintenance for a split rail fence.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
Because I
No,
have a
so-
big yard, and it's a lot of maintenance.
Yes,
and it's
ma'am.
a lot of water, and if you don't take care of those plants, they're gonna die just like that.
So the
in summer
gentleman
heat.
that we got, he's a resident out here, landscape architect, and when we went into this, it was we need something that is low to no maintenance, that is authentic to Texas and Holly Lake Ranch, that, you know, doesn't require a ton of water and new irrigation and all of these things. So the plan that he came up with is that I'm sure that there's still going to be a little bit of maintenance on it, you know, seasonal cutbacks and things of that nature.
Those dandelions are horrendous, so I know there is. Okay, I just wanted to know
Yes,
that. I
ma'am.
want to make sure that they're going to be taken care of once they're planted and put out there.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Ileana, Section 4. In regards to the Holiday Inn, in the email, you talked about the facilities that are closing. And there was pickleball and stuff. Is certain pickleball courts going to be closed, or?
So I tried to be very clear with that, and the Holiday Inn Vacation Club sports courts, that's their pickleball courts, their stuff. So everything over in and around the snack shack.
They don't have a pickleball court.
Is there
They
not a
have
pickleball court over there?
They have a basketball court.
Oh, well, if they don't have a pickleball court, they're not playing on ours.
Well, that's what I wanted to clarify, because I thought,
No.
How about like their shuffleboard in there, can we use it?
I would suspect no.
Okay,
One, it's a liability for them. We wouldn't want folks over here if this place were unoccupied. We still have to maintain insurance and all that stuff. It's not going to be appropriately staffed, none of those things. There are still some questions I have about, you know, kind of how are they going to do this? What does it look like? One of my first questions was, who's going to maintain it? Because if you think you're just going to leave it over and let it grow up, like that is not an answer.
right.
You know, how are we going to do some of these other things? So I suspect that we'll work through that. I still meet every other week with their vice president of asset management over Zoom. He's been out here last week, is coming back either this week or next week. But every chance we get, we exchange, like, so what are you thinking now? Like, you said you were gonna do this, where are we in this process, so that we can keep you as up to date as possible.
Okay, I just want to clarify, because I saw pickleball and yeah.
Now, everything over here is untouched. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Keith Dietrich. I'm in Section 8. First, I just want to say thanks for finding a way to keep the dues increase at a fairly low minimum for next year. My next question is, you had mentioned earlier the $16,000 was set aside for the gun range, and we spent a little less than half of that. They left behind the 20-cent office binder clips for target holders. Can we send somebody to go buy some actual gun clips that will actually work? I was there with my daughter last week, and we spent more time fixing broken binder clips than we did shooting. I mean, $16,000, we can do better than 20-cent office clips. Next, my question is on the board restricted funds for the next, I was looking at the 5-year plan. You answered the first question I had when you talked about the playground equipment, that it's, my question was, is that for maintenance or was that for a new purchase? So looking at the 5-year plan from 23 for the next 5 years, we've got a total of 60,000 set aside for playground equipment and a 90,000 expenditure for a splash pad, but yet we're not maintaining the existing amenities. How can we continue to buy new amenities when we're not maintaining what we've got?
Okay.
I mean, the gun range is, you know as well as I do, the exhaust system needs to be replaced. So why spend 90,000 on a splash pad when you just said earlier that we don't have kids, that young that are gonna use it anyway? Let's put that money into something to maintain what we already have. And then my last question is there somewhere online where we can go, these spreadsheets are pretty basic, is there somewhere that we can go, for example, salaries, where we can go and see how many people fall under that expenditure for salaries? Administration, 351,000, is that 2 people, is that 10 people? So where can we get that information?
Okay. First question, or first comment, gun range, target holder. It was my understanding when we got that done, and if it's not there anymore, whatever, but that was part of the process, is when we initially went in to redo that, it had the paper clip things there and several holes in them. So we kept the deflector, the main deflector that comes off the carriage, and the lateral that comes out, and the intent was to put another lateral behind that with wing nuts so you could sandwich them. So if that's not
I've
up
never
there,
seen it, yeah.
if that's not up there, we'll look into that, but that was the original intent. We don't need paper clip holders up there holding the thing. The splash pad, anything in the long-term budget, I think the board has agreed to relook at. Do we need a splash pad? There's a lot of stuff that we really need to do. Just say
We
that.
actually asked the splash pad to be removed. We've revisited that, as Adam said, and what we thought was we could get for a little bit of money. I think Wiley recently got a splash pad and it was over $1 million. So we can't do it for $90,000. So we've taken that off.
Yeah, I just don't understand how we continue to add amenity after amenity after amenity when we're not maintaining what we've already got. And now that Holiday Inn is gone, it's a moot point, but our contract with them said we have to maintain an A1 condition, and we're not. So
which amenities aren't we maintaining? Are you talking specifically about the gun range?
the gun range, if I remember correctly, one of the golf buildings, we were gonna repaint earlier this year. We ended up doing all kinds of additional work because it was rotted, because it hadn't been maintained. I mean, the First Impressions group has gone out and spent countless hours fixing stuff because it had been neglected year after year after year. I mean, we're just not, we don't seem to have a plan for long-term maintenance around here.
Well, I would offer you're correct in the past. And by the past, I mean decades ago. We have a lot of problems out here that we have inherited that originated decades ago. That the First Impressions group, Jeff, the boards of that time, all of them went through and identified some of these things. And I think to date, all amenities outdoor have been painted. We knew there was to be issues with the golf course bathrooms because they hadn't been updated for a while. We anticipated that. But we do have a comprehensive quarterly maintenance program now instituted by our new maintenance manager. They go through and check all of this stuff, so we will never be in that position again. So I don't disagree with you, but I don't think that what you're talking about is a result of failed leadership over the course of the past 5 years.
I guess we can disagree on that.
We can. I appreciate that. Yeah.
All right, as far as the additional information from the spreadsheets, where can we find that?
Yes, so the detailed stuff is on the website.
Okay.
It's under, I think, documents and forms, financial forms, and then you'll have all of the finances up there. If you're interested in a organizational chart, I'm happy to share that again. I think I've shared it in the past. Happy to share that or put that up there so you know where our departments are and things of that nature. That's not a problem.
I mean, we're basically a small city. I want to know where my money's going, who's making what, are we overpaying, are we underpaying?
Okay.
I think we have a right to know that.
Okay. Well,
And this doesn't provide it, so.
May I comment?
I will,
Sure, may I comment? Ken, 7 or 8 years ago, I was you asking those same questions. And Kate Chappell and I were the two people on the First Impression Committee. We inventoried every building. We assessed every building. We put it in a spreadsheet. We said what needed to be done with each building. I can assure you that since Jeff Griggs has been our director of maintenance, things have changed. It is vastly improved over what it was way back when. And I don't have the same concerns that I used to have, that you have now.
I'd also like to add that releasing individual salary information is against Property Code 209, 209.005K to be exact, I believe.
I don't necessarily need to know who's making 180,000 or who's making 50,000. But is that 351,000, is that for 2 people or is that for 5
Okay, and we
people?
can give, I just want to make sure, because you said you want to make sure we're not overpaying somebody. I just wanted to
Well,
set that.
if we're paying 2 people 351,000, we're overpaying. If we're paying 10 people that, we're underpaying. I don't
Okay.
need to know specifics.
I just wanted to clarify,
But-
thank you.
if you're offering 180, I'll take it.
Well, not for what we're paying here.
I'm Paula Woodson, and I'm in Section 5, and my question is kind of also a request. You mentioned the rumble strips. Are those going to be right before the gate or right after the gate? I would like them after the gate all the way up to my house. The other is over on the west side. We get a lot of traffic that comes in, and then they realize that, oh, they have to go over to the east side to the security gate to be able to come back around and get into the west side. So could we possibly move the sign a little closer to the road to let everybody know that is delivering and things like that, that they really need to go over there before they come back around and block traffic, and people will jump out of the cars and try to help them in, and they can't do that anymore because nobody has cards. And since we don't have the tree in the middle of the road, which kind of messed up the directions to my house, I kind of wondered, well, is there any thought about even having something with that gate, doing some other deal over there where we could maybe have a security gate as well as on the west side as we do on the east side? And maybe that would kind of help some of that traffic that comes down through that gate, and suddenly they're 45 miles an hour down the road, So, yeah. So, anyway, that's just kind of questions and thoughts to think about. Appreciate it.
Rumble strips would be inside of the gate. So as you're getting ready to go out, you would hit the rumble strips, then the pressure things, and then out.
Okay.
We can't put them all the way to your house. I apologize for that. We will look into the west side sign placement.
Yeah.
And then as far as putting another security guardhouse over on the west side, that would be, one, incredibly expensive.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm just
it-
wishing.
there's- yeah, there's
And
a
I
lot
would,
that goes into
and I
that.
would even allow the security guy to park in my driveway or park on the side of my lot next door to me. You know, I have no problem with him setting up a speed trap. Not at all.
We don't set up speed traps. We don't set up speed traps. We set up opportunities to educate homeowners and keep other homeowners safe.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me have a little fun with it, but it is kind of like irritating sometimes to watch all that.
Kay Holloway, Section 5. You mentioned earlier that we were going to vote on the LOI before the contract, and I'm just going to, you can thank me later for this. Is there a reason for that, not waiting for the contract?
Once we get a contract, so we get an LOI, we bring it to you, we can talk through all those things. Maybe there's an opportunity to look at that and say, you know what, this is fundamentally not what we thought it was, or whatever it is. We get a contract and it's a yes or a no. If we take that back and we say, here's the contract, vote yes, vote no, how many times is Silverleaf going to be willing to give us all of this land with legal expenses and so on and so forth? The thought is, let's put something comprehensive out there. Let's talk it through thoroughly, and then that will transition
But I think
over.
you're going back to the Meade deal, which is where we couldn't go back then because he couldn't come back with a contract because we had already voted. So now by having the vote beforehand, we don't have an opportunity to vote on what the actual contract is going to be, if it changes.
The terms of the contract will be identical to
Then
the LOI.
there's no reason, you said the wording could be that we're voting on the LOI with the understanding that some things could be changed in the contract.
No, not, if that's what I said, that's not what I meant.
Okay, that's where I'm confused.
Once it is voted, either yes or no, I hope yes, the terms of that will not change. It will be identical with the separate legalese that is required to make it contractual in nature and non-binding versus non-binding with the LOI. So the fundamental tenets of the LOI will transition directly over into the contract.
Okay.
If those fundamental tenets change, another vote is required.
That's what I wanted. Thank you.
Okay. All right, just want to make sure I was clear on that, yeah.
Okay, I live in Section 4. My name is Dennis Stassi. This, I know you guys have thought of this, but on this nice fence you're talking about, we quickly went over past the one from Lylesville Road to 2869, correct? That we're going to build a fence from at Lylesville Road on that side of the ranch. That was part of your presentation.
Yes.
I thought that property would be part of the Holiday Inn transaction. We're not going to build a $5, $6 a foot fence, $7 a foot fence for Holiday Inn, are we?
No, so we are starting at the spillway dam as it goes underneath. You go Lylesville Road, as soon as you hit the little spillway where it goes underneath,
Yeah.
we're going to start there and continue west.
Going the other way.
West.
Cool.
East.
Okay.
Good. Yeah. Left. Yes, sorry,
I
east.
assumed
Goodness.
the other direction.
I'm sorry, I may have said west. I don't know what is wrong with my directions
I
today,
don't
but
know it either.
all the way, that away. Goodness.
Monica, Section 7. I just wanted to clarify, because I can see how the letter of intent please tell me if this is an accurate assumption. The reason we're doing a letter of intent and voting on it is so when we start the final negotiations with Holiday Inn, they know they're dealing with us in good faith, and they don't have we're removing the fear that it still has to go for a vote and it could potentially get voted down, which then, is that an accurate assumption about why the letter of intent? That gives us some wiggle room if it does get voted down to do what we need to do based on the feedback from the membership.
Said much more eloquently than I. Yes, thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Well, if we have no more questions, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
I'll make that motion, we adjourn, Stacy.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Thanks for coming.
All in favor? Opposed? Meeting adjourned at 8:15 PM.